It says we're live, but I do not see my chat. There's my chat. Ha ha ha. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing on this fine? I mean, it's afternoon for some of us, and technically still morning for some of you. Israel, what up, dude? How you doing, buddy? He's like, I don't care what time of day it is, man. I'm gonna be at your stream. It doesn't matter. Sunman Moon fan. Hello, how you doing, buddy? Peter Rubin, good to see you again, buddy. Midori Kitsune, hello. Adam, the D&D guy. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not early for me, but no, there's no special topic today. Today's just gonna be Q&A. Just throw questions and yeah, I'll answer them and we'll just chill and have a great time. Yeah, a morning stream. I have a meeting at my church has like a meeting tonight that I wanted to go to, and it's at 7 o'clock, and I was like, I'm gonna have to move my stream, so I bumped it up to now. That's the way it's working. So let's get the full camera action going. Oh, that's not the full camera. That's clearly not the full camera button. So yeah, but we're just doing Q&A. So throw questions in the chat and stuff. And yeah, I'll just hang out for a little bit. Hey, we do what we got to do for church. Yes, Stephanie. Yeah, absolutely. They're starting up so due to the whole COVID thing, so my church has like a college ministry because we live right near our big college campus. But the COVID thing, I don't know why, but it shut down basically the college ministry for all intents and purposes. And so they're getting it going again. And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. I'll probably want to be involved with that. And so I'm going to go. They're doing it. What is that? It's like a vision casting meeting, I think, as you know, probably like what their goals are and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, yeah, I should probably go to that. So there we go. Hey, if you're leaving a question, try to preface it with a question, all caps question, because then I have a moderator who's going to put the questions in a sheet for me. That way I can. My wife was telling me in one of my last live streams that I did Q&A. She told me that there are lots of questions that I miss. Like people are asking questions and you don't see them, you miss them. And I was like, really? Because I try to find them, and she's like, no. There are lots of questions and you miss a lot of them. And so then I was like, oh man, I should probably try to have a moderator putting questions in the sheet again. And my wife was like, well, if you show me how, I can do it too. So I guess that's she'll be my backup plan, you know, to put the thing in there. I got to make sure the Buc-ee's sign is facing the appropriate direction here. What's up? You ready? You ready to go? You ready to go? Come on, buddy. All right, go, baby. Oh yeah. My co-streamer. Oh, the big boy. All right, so we are doing a giveaway. Is my bot running? Is my bot running and leaving the questions, the link for the giveaway? I don't think my bot's going. I have not seen my bot at all. This thing is dumb. Let me see. I can put a link to the giveaway down in the description. Can you try throwing a command for giveaway, Tashio, and see if that works? I think my bot has literally just decided not to run today. So I'm gonna edit the, I'll edit the description of the video. So there you go. I just edited the description of the video. So if you want to join the giveaway, you go in there, join the giveaway. We're good to go. We're giving away $50. We're giving away the same thing we give away every live stream. But some of you may not have been here before, which is fair. So it's $50 DM Lair store credit. We'll draw the winner of the giveaway at the end of the live stream, and then one person will get $50 they can go spend on our store, and where we have tons of different D&D 5th edition, we have Pathfinder 2 resources, we have map packs, we have Foundry modules, PDFs, obviously, we have physical hardcovers of all of our books. So there's a whole bunch of cool crap over there. And if you win the giveaway, you get to go get some for free. So that's the way that works. And Oh yes, the other thing. What do we got here? Oh yes, I have a sticky note to remind me of the different things I gotta remember to say during the live stream. I'm still not good at my job. GenCon. I will be at GenCon next week. If you're gonna be there and you see me, say hi. I love talking to people. You have to understand, what you see around you is my basement. This is where I spend, let's say, 40% of my time. We'll say that, oh no, I bet it's about, okay, so if we split up my day, I sleep for about 8 hours a night. So that's a third of your day. My third of my time is spent in my bed. And then I probably spend, each day I spend about 10 hours, maybe 12 hours down here. So yes, there we go. I just figured it out. 50% of my time is down here. A third of my time is sleeping. So I don't get out much. So when I go to conventions, I want to talk to you. Come say hi. We'll hang out and we'll talk and stuff. So it's like one of the reasons I go to conventions, just to see people interact with humanity, you know. So yes, come say hi. I also have a couple games I'm running, and there are still slots available. One of the games I think has 2 spots still in it, and the other game has 3 spots still in it. So I put links to both of those games in the description of the video, so you'll have to like find where the description is and open it, or you could just probably go to GenCon and like search for. The name of the game is Long Live King George. So if you search for that, you can find it. You should be able to just search for my name and find it too. I would hope. I don't know. They don't like you to, like, usually in my games I'll put the title. I'll be like, Long Live King George, run by Luke from the DM Lair. And then, but the Gen Con people get grouchy about that, and they're like, you don't need to put your name in the description of the game. You can just put that down other places. So I'm like, okay, whatever. They're getting grouchy at me, whatever. So anyway, if you want to play some, I'm running Shadow Dark games, which is essentially D&D only with way fewer rules, and it's way higher action, faster paced, way more fun. So if you want to play some of that, come, and you're going to be at Gen Con, join one of my games. We'll have a blast. It'll be super fun. And the other thing, yes, talk about our Kickstarter. He's like, I'm not talking about the Kickstarter. So our next Kickstarter, Feybound Trickery of the Wilds, is going to be launching soon-ish. It's probably launching in September. We haven't quite totally nailed the date yet. We're trying to remain a little flexible, which goes against every core of my being because I am a planner and I have dates and deadlines and I do things strict schedule discipline. That's who I am. But sometimes that can bite you on projects like this. It's probably going to launch at the beginning of September, but we may be a little bit flexible. So it's important to go follow the Kickstarter so that you get notified when it goes live, because when we launch for the first 3 days, there are going to be early backer specials where you will literally get a better deal. You'll save money on the books. Well, it's going to be one book. This Kickstarter is one book. So you'll save some money, get the book. We have a beautiful alt cover being designed. It was designed, and then we literally changed the scope of the project. So originally for Feybound, what we were originally going to do is we were going to give you 12 adventures and about 100 monsters. And we made this change like a couple of weeks ago. And you can tell if you watch my videos, I was calling it Escape from the Fey, and now there's a sudden shift to Feybound, Trickery of the Wilds, because we were getting ready for the project, we were reviewing the project, and we were like, yeah, we were like, what, can we make this cooler? Is there a way we can make this cooler and better and more awesome? You know, because I wrote all of the adventures myself, so I love them. I think they're amazing. Zach, the guy who works for me, he made all the monsters. I think they're really cool. You know, so I think we have a really cool adventure module, levels 5 to 11, and the monsters are all super cool. But we wanted to make it bigger, like better, just more awesome, like pack something in it. And one of the things Zach told me, he's like, Luke, do you know that if he was looking through like Kickstarters and other products just in general for D&D, and he's like, you know what? The Fae are like, have been tragically underserved historically in D&D. Like, you don't see big expansions for Fae. You know, people have done expansions for other things, but Fae, we couldn't find anything, a big, huge expansion for the Fae. And so then we're like, okay, what if? You can't bite my watch, okay? We were like, what if we make the biggest expansion ever for the Fae, a Fae-themed expansion for D&D? I'm like, that sounds cool. Like, nobody's done that before. We should do that. Because I love the Fae. The Fae are so cool because, you know, I like if you've been in my games, like, my games aren't just kick down the door and kill monsters, right? I like to have that social interaction, that exploration. Like, I like to have more than just like one element to my games. And the Fae are perfect for that because the Fae are the tricksy, the whimsical, you know, the nonsensical sometimes. And you have cool things like Fae contracts, you know, different, like the Fae plane has different mechanisms in it, like planar effects and stuff, you know. And then, you know, if you think like races and subclasses and stuff, like we were like, we can go so cool with this. We can get this really awesome. And so we're like, all right, we're gonna just do a massive Fae-themed expansion. And so we changed the project and how we're doing the project. It's still gonna have the 12 adventures and 100 so monsters and stuff, but we're adding a whole bunch of stuff to it. Like we're gonna have 6 races in it. We're going to have 10 subclasses in it, and so we had a Fae campaign setting, and we had a map for it and everything. It's where the adventures all take place in, and we're like, we got to make this bigger. So we're gonna make that 4 times as big. We have, so the map that we already had, we called that the 1 quadrant of the map, and then we're like, boom, boom, boom. We're gonna add 3 more quadrants, flesh out the campaign setting there, expand the campaign setting a little bit for folks who want like a campaign setting for the Fae. And this is the Fae plane. The Fae plane. So you could easily be running in Eberron or Forgotten Realms or your own homebrew setting. And this campaign setting is the Fae plane. So like when they travel from whatever campaign setting you're currently running in and they go to the Fae Wild, or we're calling it the Fae plane, it's going to be easier on us as far as copyright and stuff goes. It's a little bit of a gray area. So we're not calling it Fae Wild in our products. We're calling it Fae plane. It's safer. So but when your group travels to the Fae plane, boom, map. We have 4 Fae courts that are going to rule over the different quadrants, and then obviously we have monsters, really cool ones. And so yeah, we're just starting this big, huge expansion. So anyway, that's a really long-winded, I guess, plug or talk about it or whatever. But that's going to be coming in September most likely. So there's a link down in the description where you can follow it and all that kind of stuff. And I have tons of cool artwork. I mean, we're commissioning we've already started with the artwork and stuff like that, because we don't want to, if you wait until the Kickstarter funds to like get the artwork commissioned, then creating the book takes so long. So we do a lot of the artwork ahead of time. We'll probably have about half of the artwork created. Oh, by the way, you guys probably heard me rant about stretch goals and crap with my last Kickstarter. Like, stretch goals are so stupid. So we don't have any stretch goals. There are no stretch goals, and we all know that stretch goals are horse crap anyway. Stretch goals are a scam. We know this. I don't know if you know this, but most projects that launch on Kickstarter, they have every single stretch goal already planned, and they have the content created for it also, and they're planning on publishing it. And what they do is, let's say you have 20 stretch goals, 15 stretch goals, whatever it is. You have an idea of how much your projects usually make on Kickstarter. And so like let's say that your projects, let's just say your projects usually make $1 million on Kickstarter. You're like, okay, well, let's plan out our stretch goals so that we go from like, all the way up to $1 million. We're planning on hitting them, right? They plan on hitting them and the content's already created. And then what happens is once the project launches, they can see their initial velocity. And then you can do some very simple math and you can figure, what you're actually going to hit by the end of the campaign. And then you set your stretch goal numbers and you notice that most Kickstarter campaigns, they don't tell you the dollar value for every single one of their stretch goals. They usually only tell you the dollar value for the next stretch goal, maybe the one after that, because they're monitoring their project velocity, because they want to make sure they hit all the stretch goals. Because the many times they've created all that content already, it's already ready to go. So they want to make sure they hit them. So stretch goals are a farce. They're a horse crappery. So we are like, we're not doing that. We are going to design the core product to have everything that we want to have in this book to make it awesome. and then we're going to give you that. And so we're calling it pre-stretched. We've pre-stretched it. Like, we're not playing the stupid game. We're just cramming everything in the book that we can, that we want to, that will make it feel complete. You know what I mean? So anyway, I wanted to mention that because that's one of the things of Kickstarters that really annoys me. So anyway, we're just giving you all the crap out of the gate. We don't got to play this stupid game. I should probably do the Q&A now. Remind me too, I want to show you some of the artwork for Feybound because it is amazing, but I think I've talked for far too long about it already, and you probably are annoyed with me. So I'll do some Q&A first, I suppose. Okay, how and when did you start playing D&D? Oh, my D&D origin story. Got it. So I started playing D&D it was high school, and I don't know the exact year, so this is like my best guess. 1996 is when I usually say I started playing D&D, and that was my sophomore year of high school because I graduated in 1998. So that would be my sophomore year of high school. That's the year that I attribute to having to started playing D&D, but I don't know exactly when it was in high school. That's a good estimate though. And I started playing D&D. It was D&D's second edition, and I started playing it because my grandma took me to a bookstore. It was a used bookstore. I live in Michigan. The capital city is Lansing, so it was in Lansing, Michigan. There was this used bookstore, and my grandma took me to it. And now, since middle school, I had been reading D&D books. In middle school, I started reading. It was R.A. Salvatore's The Streams of Silver. It's the second book in his Drizzt series, like the Drizzt books by R.A. Salvatore. In middle school, my mom bought me Streams of Silver and read the crap out of that. Ooh, loved it. And then every time I was in a bookstore, I would look for more books by R.A. Salvatore in that same series. And then, because back in that time, there was no internet. It was, you go to the bookstore and you look around and see what there is. And so every time I could go to the bookstore and my mom would buy me another book, I'd get some more of his books. And I just read the crap out of R.A. Salvatore's, what was the first one? The Crystal Shard, and then the Streams of Silver, and then the Halfling's Gem, and then all of those books. Just loved those things. Just, oh my gosh, those books awakened in me something special. Just like, this is amazing. This is like, it just appealed to something in the core of my being as like a kid, like as a pimply face. Literally, I had crazy pimples, acne, really, really bad. I still get it every so often. And you can probably notice in some of my videos where it's like, Luke looks like he has a problem. Yep, he does. So, but there was something in this like pimply faced little kid reading about these heroes fighting monsters and stuff that was just amazing to me. And so that literally started, those books started everything. But then in high school, I was reading those through middle school. I had no idea it was a game. Zero clue. High school, grandma, used bookstore, I saw a D&D book, but it wasn't like the size of a novel. It was a large one. You know, it was the size of this, right? And so I saw that book and I was like, D&D, oh, that's what the books I'm reading from R.A. Salvatore say on them. Ooh, I want to get that. It looks cool. I had I think it was the Player's Handbook. It was the second edition Player's Handbook. And I have it on my shelf back there. And I got that book, and I was like, I didn't know what it was but I was like, I'm getting this. My grandma bought it for me. I took it home. I'm reading it. It's a game. I was like, what? This is a game? Holy crap, you can play this game? And so I got my brother to play it with me. And usually the way my brother and I would, our system was, if I wanted to play a certain game and I needed him to play with me, obviously most games you need at least two people, then the deal is that I have to play a game that he wants to play. And my brother loved the game of life. And if you know the game of life, it's essentially like Candyland, only not for 2-year-olds or something. It is horrible. Roll dice, go around the board. It is not a fun game, the game of life, let me tell you. So, but he liked that game. So it's like, all right, you play D&D with me, I'll play Game of Life with you, you know? And so anyway, I started playing with him. And then I found there were some guys in high school that I played D&D with. It was the Emery brothers. It was Blaine Emery, Thomas Emery, Dane Barnes was one of them. And then I swear was there one other guy, or was it just, I think there might have been one other person that I played with, and I can't remember now. There might have been one other person though, but it was definitely them. And we started playing. We played for like a year or so before we stopped for some reason. I don't know why. I kept playing after the two Emery brothers stopped. I kept playing with Dane for a while. I would just run a game solo with him. You know, it was just, you know, me, game master, he's the player. And we did that for a little bit, and then we stopped, went to college and stuff. But anyway, that's how I got started playing D&D. That's like my origin stories of D&D and stuff. So, yeah, but I still have on that bookcase back there all of the R.A. Salvatore books, all of them. Just not every single one he's published. You know, I have most of the Drizzt books. There's a point in time. This is my personal opinion, but the books are amazing. But there gets to be a point in the time, in that it takes a while. It takes like a couple dozen of those books, but there reaches a point where it's not quite interesting anymore. You know, I don't know if he's running out of like steam, you know, with ideas. I don't know what's going on, but it starts to feel it loses steam. But it takes a while. It takes a good long while. I don't know. It's like when it's the books that deal a lot with orcs. Once you get to dealing with a bunch of orcs, and I don't want to give any spoilers in case you're reading these, but it's like dozens of books in. Like, it's amazing for a long time. But then once it gets into the part where he's dealing with the orcs, there's this big plot with orcs that spans at least 3 books. Once it gets into that, it's no longer super compelling. So I haven't really gotten any of the books past that, because I don't know. Maybe it gets better. I don't know, but it wasn't in those books. So anyway, but I don't know. That's a different story. I answered the question though. The Cleric Quintet was amazing. Yes, I love the Cleric Quintet. Those were super, super cool books. He could write a follow-up to those with Catterley and, was it Danica? And then Pickle or Pikel and Ivan, the 2 dwarves and stuff. Oh yeah, he could write follow-ups to that stuff, and it would be really cool. I would read that stuff. I'd buy that stuff, man. Heck yeah. I think the whole Drizzt thing is just kind of like sputtering out for whatever reason. And that's fair, you know, you can't, it's hard to like, you know, there were so many amazing plots and ideas and things that were happening. You know, sometimes you just don't have a winner, you know, and things just get kind of mucky, but you know, it's life. All right, let's see, next question. Adam, the D&D guy. I'm trying to read Curse of Strahd, but it feels like I'm reading too many things when I don't need to read them. Do you have any tips? Yeah, so this is like one of those age-old questions that goes back to like when you're running a module, should you read the entire module before you run the game? Or can you just read what's necessary and then start running the game? I have always been of the mindset that if you tell me that it is better to read the module first in its entirety before you start running the game, I mean, I'm not going to argue too strong with that. Is it preferable to read the whole thing? Sure, it probably is going to help you to have an idea of the entire module before you start running the beginning. Yeah, that's going to be beneficial in different ways. Okay, but is it practical? Is it practical to read a 300? Well, Curse of Strahd's not too long. It's probably in the 200s, but is it practical to read a 200 to 300 page module? Like, Tomb of Annihilation's pretty long. Are you going to read that whole thing? Dungeons of the Mad Mage is pretty long. Are you going to read that whole thing? And so you have to ask yourself, is it practical to read all of that, you know, before I even start running it? And if I take the time to read the whole thing, I don't know how long that would take you. A month, 2 months? I don't know what your time availability is. But if you read the whole thing, what if your game never kicks off? What if you never even start playing? And we all know how many games start and then fizzle out and die before you get too far into them. And so I could make a very strong argument that reading the whole thing before you start running it could be a waste of time too, right? Depending on how things go. So this is what my approach is. This is how I do it. Most modules are written well enough that there's an introduction, a summary at the beginning that gives you an idea of what's going to happen over the course of the campaign, the module, right? And that high level introduction, this is like, you have to get modern modules, because I think past modules for previous editions and stuff, they maybe didn't do such a good job of this. But if you can get an overall view of what's supposed to happen or what kind of goes on, during the course of the adventure module, and then that's good. That'll give you the kind of the overview. And then at that point, I really just read and prep the next adventure, the very first adventure, and then we start playing. I've done this a couple times now. I don't run a whole lot of published modules. I usually homebrew my own stuff. But when I do run published modules, that's how I do it. Get the overview, then read the first adventure, prep the first adventure, start playing. But then what I do is once the game has started to play, I keep reading the rest of the adventure module while we're playing. So, because you know how D&D games work. You play maybe once a week, but most groups probably play every 2 weeks, right? So you play every couple of weeks, and it takes a while to get an adventure done. The first adventure might take you an entire month, maybe 2 months to complete. Well, during the time that you're playing the game and that first adventure, guess what? You probably are going to finish reading the module, or you're going to be halfway through it or something. And that, in my opinion, works out really well. You don't have this huge time investment before you start playing. You can get the game rolling, right? Everybody's having fun. You're actually playing the game, and then while you're playing it, you are diligent about reading it, right? Like every time you have to do number 2 or whatever it is, that's that might be 1 to 5 times a day, depending upon who you are. You sit down and you read that sucker, and by the next thing you know, you're done reading it. Some of you right now are like, remind me to never to touch Luke's Curse of Strahd module book, and you might have a good valid concern there, but it works really well. So that's how I suggest running a module. I think that kind of addresses your question. It sounds like you're overwhelmed with reading too much in the module in advance of actually running it or something. So I hope that kind of addresses it. If not, you can leave a follow-up question, and then hopefully they'll get it in a sheet for you, and then I can answer it. Jedi Protector says the better of Arya Salvatore's later books is companions during the second Sundering event. Oh, okay. That's interesting. I might take a look at that. Right now, I have lots of books on my docket right now that I'm trying to read through. Right now, I'm reading The King in Yellow. I don't remember the author's name. If you play Call of Cthulhu, you probably have heard of The King in Yellow. But it's one of the... so in between Edgar Allan Poe's writings and then H.P. Lovecraft's writings, The King in Yellow was written. And it's considered to be a really important kind of like horror or is it cosmic horror type book, right? Before H.P. Lovecraft and after Edgar Allan Poe. So I'm reading that right now. And then I have a whole bunch of H.P. Lovecraft's books. I don't know what it is, guys, but I have read several of his stories now. So H.P. Lovecraft, it looks like he didn't write really big books. He just wrote like short stories, basically. And I've read several of H.P. Lovecraft's short stories, and I don't know what it is, but they all kind of feel like the same story told in different ways. Like I keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper, and I don't really know why, and I don't really have a motivation for it, but I keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper. Or there's this weird thing going on, and I keep investigating and finding more weird stuff. And then it always ends with like discovering some horrible monster, that a lot of times, well, in at least one instance, carries the person off, or I don't know. It feels like, and he's very verbose. Oh my gosh, very verbose, not concise. So I've read about 3 of his short stories now, and I'm bouncing. I'm like halfway through another, and here's the thing. This is my discipline. What I like to do is every night when I go to bed, I read a little bit out of a book. Like I lie down in bed and I read a book for about 10-15 minutes until I start to feel sleepy, and then I put the book away. I go to sleep. It's beautiful, and it gets me through books. You read through books. You'd be amazed how much you can read if you're just reading like 15 minutes a day, But for the last couple weeks, like I'm staring at H.P. Lovecraft's book and I'm just like, I don't want to read that. And so I just don't. I turn the light off and I go to sleep, And so like 2 nights ago, I was like, look, this is stupid. If you don't want to read his book, don't read his book, pick a different book because you should be reading. It's a good thing to read. And so then I picked up the King in Yellow. I know I'm starting on the King in Yellow. We'll see how it goes. The first one's interesting so far. So we'll hopefully it does well. Maybe I need to like do a Google search of H.P. Lovecraft's best stories. And then, because I bought like this anthology collection. It's like a hardcover, very, very nice. It was like $100. It's very, very nice. Hardcover. I think it has almost all of H.P. Lovecraft's stories in it. Well, all of his most famous ones, I suppose, because he probably wrote a whole crap ton of them. So they're very nice books and stuff. But what I probably should do is instead of I'm just reading through. I should probably find out which ones are the best ones, and then just focus on reading those. That might do me some good. All right. Nightbot's working. Look at that. Oh, we have a giveaway going on. Join the giveaway. Nightbot hopefully left a link to the giveaway. Join that. We'll draw the winner at the end of the live stream. Midori Kitsune says, I was wondering, as a new DM, I will be running a homebrew campaign with a couple of friends. How do I run a session 0? So depending on who you ask, you're gonna get different answers for how to run a session 0. All right. It's not hard. It's not hard. I think I have made a video on session 0s. It's an older video. You can probably search it and find it, and it probably has more detailed advice in it. But look, a session 0 is not hard, and it's not complicated. I think we get too worked up about it. And I really think that session 0s, the importance of a session 0 gets overemphasized way too much. A lot of people seem to freak out about it, like, oh my gosh, the session 0 is your most important game session ever. You got to do it. Oh, if you don't, it's just like your face will melt off and everybody will hate each other and your game session will crash and burn. We get too worked up about it. Like historically, I have only run maybe 2 session 0s over the course of my games, and ask my players. They are the most perfunctory, check the box session 0s you're ever going to get. Okay, they're very simple. Many times my session 0s look like this. Hey guys, we're gonna play D&D. Okay, safety tools. Don't be a jackwad. If something happens that you don't like, speak up, say something, be an adult. Let's have a conversation. Okay. If you don't feel comfortable talking in front of other people, send me an email or a DM or something about the problem, and then we'll take care of it. All right. Let's just be adults. Okay. Don't be jackwads. Use common sense. And if you don't like something, speak up, say something. Hey, I don't like torturing children. Can we not torture children? That seems reasonable. Let's not torture children. What did I have? I had a player once. This was in my Curse of Strahd game. He was, and we didn't do a session 0 for my Curse of Strahd game. We just started playing. And these were guys I'd known for a long time. So I was like, whatever, this is stupid. Let's just play. But he was doing something, and we were live streaming. We was a stream. This is back when we were streaming it too. What did he do? He started to go somewhere, and I immediately was like, whoa, let's not talk. Nope. And he's like, oh, okay. It's easy, man. It's easy. So those are our safety tools. Just, be an adult. Speak up if you got a problem. We'll take care of it. We'll talk about it. We don't have to do all of this hoopla and rigmarole, you know. It's not usually needed. Not in my experience. Not with the people I play with. Now your experience might be different, right? I don't know who you're playing with. So maybe you need some vast rigmarole around that. I don't know. But I've never found a need for that. So that's usually perfunctory, quick conversation. And then our session 0 is usually just, okay, let's create characters together. Oh, half of you already created them, even though I told you not to. Okay, well then you sit there patiently while everybody else creates their character. And the idea is that people would create their character, you know, communally, so that they can, you know, not have like 3 rogues and then be like, maybe that's not going to work so well. Because my players know that my world is my world, and if you guys come in vastly unprepared, then you're gonna have to figure things out on your own. I'm not gonna like if you decide to create a party of all wizards, like I'm not going to customize my game so that there aren't melees rushing in your face and pounding on you. You're gonna have to figure it out. So my players know that. So I usually try to create characters together, and then we start playing the game. I'll give them information about the campaign, the game, you know, and then we start playing the game. And by the way, before the session 0 ever happens, I have a campaign pitch that I give my players where I'll be like, hey, this is what the game's about. Are you interested? Yay, nay, do you like that idea? And most times they're like, yeah, that sounds cool, let's do it. And then if I'm playing like on Start Playing, or I'm playing a paid game or something, well, then I just tell people this is what the game's gonna be. And if you don't want to play it, then don't sign up for it. And that's really easy. So, but yeah, my session 0s are that's pretty much what we do. It's not a big rigmarole. There's not a lot of fluff there. Oh, super chat. Hey, Cardour, thank you for the super chat, dude. I appreciate that. Have you read Christopher Palin's series, The Inheritance Cycle? Nope. I have never heard of that author nor that book series. Don't take that personally. What was it? Pop culture is my worst Trivia Pursuit topic, subject, category, whatever. I'm horrible at it. RoboDad says, do you use a DM screen? I asked my community, and a surprising amount, 50%, said nope. I do use a DM screen. But it's not to hide my dice. I don't really care. In fact, when I play in person, 2 of my players literally sit in a place where they can easily see my dice rolls. And almost always, if you watch, all my games are recorded. You can go to my second YouTube channel, the DM Lair Streams, and you can watch my Thieves Abound campaign. It's a Pathfinder 2 campaign. It's called Thieves Abound. You can watch those games. And 2 of the players sit right here, basically, and they can easily see over my DM screen. They can see my dice. And I almost always, if I roll like a nat 20, which happens sometime, and in Pathfinder 2, it can be brutal when you roll a nat 20, baby. I love that crap. So I'll roll a nat 20, and I'll be like, Joe, look. And Joe's like, I don't want to look, because he knows it's bad. But they can easily see it. So I use a DM screen. It's not to hide the dice. It's not. I don't care about hiding my dice. I don't fudge dice. I just don't fudge dice. You know what I mean? It's just whatever. Who cares? The dice. If you're fudging dice, then why are you using dice? So it's not for that. The reason I use a DM screen, well, there are 2 reasons. In person, I use a DM screen. It's to hide my own game master notes, because I don't want them seeing my notes. I don't want them seeing my monster stat blocks. I don't even want my players to see the name of the monster. I obfuscate the names of monsters as much as possible, because most of my players know what these monsters do. Like if I tell them it's a basilisk, oh, they know. It's gonna breathe gas that can turn me to stone. You know, or if it's a Medusa, it'll stare at me and turn me to stone. Like, I don't use the names of monsters, you know? So I don't want them to see my monster card that has the name of the monster written there, you know? Some of them are good at deducing it, obviously. They're veterans. They're not dumb. They're going to figure it out pretty quickly. Even though Luke uses different terms, you know, they're going to figure it out. But I do my best. I don't want them to see that. I don't want them to see my notes. I also use my DM screen to track initiative. I have little folded cards that I'll put along the top of the DM screen, and that's the order of initiative. So everybody can literally see the order of initiative. It's super fast and super easy. You don't need these fancy polls. So I've seen polls with initiative clips and stuff, you know what I mean? Or I've seen boards where you write initiative down and stuff, and all those fancy tools make for great Kickstarters and all of this and things you can sell on your store and stuff, but you don't need that. Well, all you need are 3x5 cards that you cut in half, fold them in half, and write people's names on them, character names, on both sides, and then you put it on the top of your DM screen, and it's super fast, super easy, and done. My DM screen also has reference material on the back side of it. The Pathfinder 2 DM screen has lots of good stuff on the back of it that helps you run the game. I would not run my Pathfinder 2 games without that DM screen. It is invaluable. It is so well designed, like so well designed. And then Shadow Dark, same thing. Shadow Dark, when I run in person, Shadow Dark, DM screen for the same reasons, all those same reasons. And then it also has really good reference material on the back side of it. Which the only thing that my gripe about the Shadow Dark DM screen, my only gripe about it is that the DCs, the standard DCs are not listed on the screen. Because when I run my Shadow Dark games, they're online, except for at conventions. I literally put the DM screen right here in front of my camera. My players can't see it, but it's right here so that I can have all the reference information. And my only gripe about it is the DCs are not listed. Like, for instance, an easy DC is 9. The next level of DC, I think, is 12. And then it goes to 15. And then I think 20 is the, like, near impossible DC. But, like, I run several game systems, and so those numbers just get muddled in my brain. And so, like, I constantly have to open the book up and flip to the inside cover to see the standard DCs. So my only gripe about the Shadow Dark, I love Shadow Dark, great system. The screen, if it had the standard common DCs listed, the different tiers, would love that change. That would make the screen so much better. So I'm gonna nitpick that screen a little bit, but otherwise there's a lot of good information on it. Okay. More questions. By the way, Tashio, thank you for helping with the question sheet, because I love being able to just answer the question, take a glance, and pick another question, and then I feel better because I'm not missing people's questions. So I love this. I have missed being able to do this. Oh man, I don't know how to say her name, man. I'm gonna screw this up. Juyo Buzz. Now you hate me. I'm sorry. Daggerheart, have you played it? Tried it? What do you think? D&D versus Daggerheart. I have not. I have it. They sent me a review copy. It's not. I mean, it's called a review copy, but it's literally the real thing. They sent it to me. I have the books. I have everything. I have the big case. They came in a big, beautiful box. Looks really nice. Really did a really good job. Production quality looks really solid. I flipped through it a tiny bit, but haven't had much time to really dig into it. I'm a little too busy around here. It's hard. I am at GenCon. I will be playing Daggerheart for the first time at GenCon. And check this out. Check this out. So when I go to conventions and I play games as a player, I usually play it in a couple of games, and usually what I try to do is I will pick a game. I don't always do this, but many times what I'll do is I'll try to play in a game for a game system that I've never played in before, so I can get exposed and to new things and learn new game systems and stuff. And for this Gen Con, I was like, Luke, Daggerheart just came out. Get in a Daggerheart game. Yes. So I go to Gen Con, and of course, many of these games fill up like that. I go to Gen Con and I'm looking for a Daggerheart game, and they're all full except for one. And I'm like, yes, but then I read the title and it's in Spanish. And I'm like, well, I mean, I do speak Spanish. I could probably do this. And so I signed up for it. I will be playing Daggerheart in Spanish. So my first time playing it's going to be in Spanish, which I don't think is going to be a big deal. It's in the Latino lounge. They have like a Latino lounge at Gen Con, which I wasn't aware of it before I signed up for the game, because I was like, oh cool, I'll play the game, and then I noticed that it was in the Latino lounge. And so anyway, hopefully they let me in, because I'm just a gringo You know, I'm sure they'll be fine. But I'm just gonna go and I'll play it in Spanish, man. It'll be fun. So that might not go well. It might not. I don't know. It just depends. But I'm like, this is my only chance to play Daggerheart. I'm gonna have to play in Spanish, man. I know. I'm not too worried about it. I know they're all gonna speak English anyway. So like, if I don't know how to say something, I'll just say the English word and they'll know what it is. I'll figure it out. I'm a smart guy. I wouldn't try to play it in German or French or anything, but Spanish, my wife is from Central America. We talk in Spanish all day long, every day. Usually what happens is my wife speaks to me in Spanish and I speak to her in English. Usually that's how our conversations go. Unless I want to, if I really want to make sure she really understands really well what I'm saying, then I'll just switch to Spanish because it's a lot easier that way. But yeah, so I don't have a problem. I'll be fine doing the Spanish thing. Except that my vocabulary is more toward everyday things and not toward D&D stuff, but I'll figure it out. I'm not too worried about it. All right. No, speaking of GenCon, I am running a couple games at GenCon, and there are a couple spots. I do have some spots still in my GenCon game. So if you want to play some games with me at GenCon, then there's links in the description of this live stream, and you can go sign up for a game with me, and it'll be fun. We'll have cool. We'll have cool. Evan Bashnaw says, I can't wait to hear about your Spanish Daggerheart game. Well, this is what you got to do, Evan. The next time after GenCon, when I'm having one of my Q&A things, you just got to come in and be like, Luke, tell us about your Spanish Daggerheart game. So yeah, I don't really know a whole bunch about Daggerheart. I did listen to, what was it? Professor Dungeon Master and Baron DeRop did a review video on Daggerheart. So I listened to that. If you haven't seen that review video, I thought they brought up some really good points in it. Which we'll see. The biggest thing that didn't sit well with me is how they obfuscate damage. You roll damage, but that's not the damage you do. You have to look it up on a chart or something. And I'm like, why obfuscate it? Why not just, I don't know. But anyway, they did a review video. I listened to somebody else. So there was another YouTuber that did a review on it. I don't remember the name of the channel. I listened to their review on it too. So all I have literally done is listen to reviews of Daggerheart. And that's helped me to learn a little bit about the system, and how it kind of works. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right. Indigo Row says, a campaign set in Eberron for a dungeon crawl. They get locked under a mountain and have to work their way up to the top. Any suggestions for resources? Need vending machines, etc. Yeah, so what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to, if they're trying to escape from underneath, you're going to have to obviously figure out what resources they're going to need. And you're gonna have to plan for that. You want suggestions for the resources they're going to need? I'm not gonna brainstorm resources for you, I'm sorry. You'll have to do the brainstorming of resources yourself. But yes, you're gonna need to brainstorm the resources they're going to need to get out of the mountain and stuff, and you're gonna have to make sure that they're available. They can find them, they have to go on missions to get them. There might be vendors they come across. There could be a wandering vendor underneath there, or they can come upon a dwarven settlement or something, or like a deep gnome settlement, and then maybe you have to do a quest or two or something, and then they'll have access to like some vendors and stuff. So you can brainstorm and figure that out. But yeah, you're gonna have to go through that and figure that out. One of the challenges I've been having in one of the games I'm running is they're trapped. Well, this is my Escape from the Fae campaign. I'm playing it right now with my patrons, and they're trapped in the Fae plane. They're trapped there, and almost everything they come across is hostile. Like, it's a hostile Fae plane, but they still need to be able to get resources, healing potions, or find magic items, or just buy simple supplies. And so I've had to come up with some mechanisms for them to be able to do that, and it's working, but it takes some forethought and planning to make it happen. because they can't just go to a town and buy stuff. It doesn't, not where they are. Everything's super hostile, generally speaking, so it's challenging to do that. They probably could try. They'd have to like pass themselves off as different people, which they've been doing the whole time, so they probably could easily do that. They just haven't tried or thought of it, I suppose. I don't know, but anyway, but yeah, that's something you'll have to plan that out. Are you and your team planning on making any products with Shadow Dark? It's becoming the new trend. Not planning on it, no. I love Shadow Dark. I play Shadow Dark. I run a game in Shadow Dark. I'm running Shadow Dark games at GenCon. I'm not planning on making any products for Shadow Dark. I'm chuckling because right now I probably shouldn't talk about this. Zach will be like, Luke, why are you talking about this? But right now, Zach and I are literally planning, and we've begun developing our own TTRPG. It's in super early stages right now, and I know it's like the whole new trend of everybody wants to make their own TTRPG, and so I was like, do I really want to get on that bandwagon? But it's something that I think is super cool and something that interests me. So I was like, I don't want to be like the idiot who does it just because everybody else is doing it, you know? Because I think that's kind of lame. But at the same point, like this is something I brought up to my team like a couple years ago, you know, just talking about the idea of making our own system. And so, but we're finally pulling the trigger, and we've begun working on it. It is not like, what can I say about it? Well, it's going to be, we're planning to release the alpha in January. That's our current timeline. We're going to be working toward the alpha in January, and it is a D100 roll under system. So if you played Call of Cthulhu, or I think Runehammer, Runesmith, Rune something, whatever the fantasy game that Chaosium publishes, I forget the name of it. I have it on my shelf back there. I haven't read it though. If you're familiar with those, you know the D100 roll under system, and it is not class. It's not a class-based system. One of the things I have always wanted in a fantasy game is to not be stuck to a class. I've always this is so literally this game system, the way that we are choosing to design it is what I want to do. It's like, this is what Luke is doing because I want to create this thing. I'm not doing it because this is what people want, or like this, everybody wants a D20 system with advantage. I don't give a flying crap. I do not like the advantage disadvantage mechanic. I think it sucks. I actually was scripting a video yesterday about some of the D&D design flaws as I see it. And one of those design flaws is the advantage disadvantage system. And I'm not going to talk about that now. I don't like it though. I don't like it for various reasons. So I didn't want a D20 system. And I don't like classes. I don't like the idea of having to choose to be a rogue or choose to be a paladin or choose to be a fighter. Like I want you to be able to just choose skills. Like if you want to choose a long, a bladed weapon skill, think Elder Scrolls, right? Think Skyrim, think Morrowind, all that kind of stuff. You don't choose your class. You choose the skills that you're going to take, and then you use them, and you get better at them and stuff. And so that's what I want in my like tabletop game. I've always wanted that, Well, I mean, always is a strong word. I would say in the recent years, as I've played more and more games, I've discovered that I haven't found any of those, and I've actually talked to people about this, and they'll mention this game and that game that are like that. You know what I mean? For instance, I believe, what is the thing called? Runehammer or whatever from Chaosium. I believe that is a skill-based system too. The problem is it's super crunchy, and I do not want a crunchy game system. I want a rules light game system. And so we're like as we're like plotting and planning, right, about what we're gonna do for our game system. I'm like putting the mandates. I'm like, it is not rules heavy. It is not rules medium. It is rules light. Because here's the thing: the more I have played rules heavy D&D game systems my entire life, and the more I play rules light systems like Pirate Board or Shadow Dark or Mothership, the more I love them. And the more I see that a rules light system enables the game master to, it changes everything. You have more freedom. You're not beholden to these rules that restrain you in certain ways. Your players have more freedom. They have more creativity. They can declare they want to do a thing, and then you just okay, make this sort of check or something. You know, the rules light, and there's less prep as a game master. It's easier for me to prep my games. I don't know. I don't understand how or why. All I know is that when I prep to run a Shadow Dark game, it's pretty fast. It's pretty easy. When I prep to run a Pathfinder 2 game, it takes me a lot longer, way longer. And I don't know why. I haven't really thought and tried to create my my thesis on why. It doesn't matter to me. It's just something that experimentally I found. So anyway, rules light is something that I'm loving more and more. And so I'm like, okay, we want a rules light system. I love when the first time I played Call of Cthulhu and it was the D100 rule under, I loved it. Don't ask me why. There was just something about that I loved. I loved that mechanical concept. And so I'm like, I really want to do this. I like this. It's super cool. Okay. And then I was like, I don't want to do class-based. I want it to be skill-based. I want someone to basically be able to pick the skills they want for their character and customize their character to be whatever they want it to be. Whatever they want it to be. It's just skill-based, you know? And so those are like my high-level directives, my prime directives, you know, for the game system. So that's what we're planning on doing. That's what we're working on. We're hoping to have the alpha by January. We have no idea what the name is. We have no idea. Like, we were literally at our meeting a couple days ago, and we were like, we need to have a name for this game system. And I'm like, yeah, we really do have to have a name for it. But here's the problem. Once you pick, even if you call it a working name, that working name will stick with you forever. It'll be really hard to shake it. Like, even now, when I think of Cobalt Press's D&D 5e copy paste that they did, literally in many ways, Tales of the Valiant, even now, the first name that comes to my mind is Blackstaff, you know, or Black Flag. Oh no, actually it is Blackstaff, because that's like the Wizard of Waterdeep, the highest ranking Wizard of Waterdeep is called Blackstaff. And they chose Black Flag as like their working name, and then I always would think Blackstaff because of the Wizard of Waterdeep, and I would get them confused. So I always think Blackstaff first, and then I'm like, nope, that's the wrong one, it's Black Flag. And then it's like, nope, that's the wrong one too, it's Tales of the Valiant. And then my friend Alan from Dungeon Coach channel, he did his DC 20 Kickstarter, you guys know, did super well, and he's working on that right now. And at one point he was asking, I think it might have been me and Bob World Builder is in like this like video chat with us, and we talk about stuff from time to time. But he was contemplating, he was telling us, hey, I've been calling my game system DC 20. Should I change it? Should I change it to a different name? You know, should I call it this, or should I call it that, or should I call it that? You know, and he had some suggested names and stuff, and I told him, I was like, dude, you've been calling it DC 20 forever now, and you're gonna brand change it now? Why? What for? Just call it DC 20, dude. Call it DC 20. All of your fans, everybody knows it is DC 20. If you try to shift it to something else now, you're just gonna have to fight the momentum you have with the name and the branding of DC 20. And you're gonna have to call it something else. And then you're gonna spend who knows how long calling it something else before people are finally like, ah, yes, it's actually called this. And they'll remember what it was actually called. So no, you gotta stick with DC 20 now. So anyway, long story short, we don't have a name for this. Because like when we pick one, that's gonna be what it is. And changing it after you have like a working title is really hard. So we're not. We really don't. We have nothing. We have nothing right now. We have no name for it. It's just it is what it is. It's our news system. All right, keep going with questions. Oh, I should probably. We have a Kickstarter coming up. Feybound: Trickery of the Wilds, and I'm just gonna play you a little video that'll tell you more about it. That's probably, and then we'll go right back into questions.
Hi, I'm the creator of Into the Fae, a popular adventure module for D&D 5e, and I've been working on its sequel for about a year and a half now. But I had a problem. I had this nagging doubt. You see, my team and I had written a 12 adventure module full of exciting twists and surprises, in addition to nearly 100 exciting, fresh Fae creatures. However, we kept asking ourselves, is this the best we can do? How can we make this the Fae-themed resource every dungeon master and player would demand to have in their collection? The answer was Feybound: Trickery of the Wilds, the biggest, baddest Fae-themed resource for D&D 5e ever created. You see, we doubled down. We went all in. And we stuffed this book with everything DMs and players would need to bring the chaos, whimsy, and wilds of the Fae to life in their games. A sprawling Fae campaign setting, 6 vibrant new player races, 10 wildly creative subclasses, a treasure trove of magic items, dynamic Fae gameplay mechanics, over 100 twisted and unforgettable monsters, and Escape from the Fae, a level 5 to 11 adventure module featuring 12 full-length, story-rich adventures. Feybound's Trickery of the Wilds is now a project that I can be proud of. We're not leaving anything on the table with this one, and it launches soon on Kickstarter. Trust me, whether you dabble in the Fae or dive in head first, this is the D&D 5e resource you won't want to miss.
Okay, I just saw in chat somebody said Rune Quest. That's the name. Rune Quest is the fantasy game that Chaosium publishes. There we go. I couldn't remember the name of that for the life of me, but now I got it. Okay, sweet. By the way, there's a link down in the description for Feybound: Trickery of the Wilds if you'd like to follow it. Remember, we are going to be launching soon. It's probably going to be September, but it's a little flexible. So you do want to follow it so that you get notified when we launch, because we're going to have early backer specials for like the first 3 days where you're going to save a bunch of money when you back it. So you definitely want to follow it so that you can get notified, so that you can go in and back it right away, so that you get, I mean, we'll have first day back. We always have something for first day as well. So if you back it on day 1, you get special crap. And then within the first 3 days, you save a bunch of money too. So follow it. Make sure you follow it. We're going to be launching probably September, but I'm not supposed to commit to it. I'm not supposed to commit to it. I'm just doing what I'm told. My mean boss. What happened? Oh. That reminded me. What did I do? I'm sorry, this is a tangent, but you guys might like this. This might be fun for you. I made a post on my Patreon page. Let me go find it. This is funny. I thought it was funny. Some people probably didn't. But I'm gonna go find it for you. But I made a post talking about my new Kickstarter, and I was in a silly mood. I was just in a silly, fun mood where I was like, I was like writing this, and I'm like, oh, this will be cool. But it sounded like it caused a little bit of confusion. Where was this thing? That's the one right there. Okay, so, let me just gonna show you the screen, because I'm gonna find the part of this that I thought was funny. Let's zoom in a little bit. Sequel. How can we make this bigger, better? Okay, blah 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 blah. This is just like marketing stuff for the Kickstarter. Where was this? Was it in here? Maybe it was a different post. Oh, it must have been hold on a second. It must have been a different post. Where was it? There was a post that I thought was funny. I was literally talking about like quitting, like where was this stupid thing? I'm sorry. It was a different post that I was thinking of. Hold on a second. Where is this? Okay, you know what? I might not be able to find this. Maybe I don't know where it is. Yeah, there was a post somewhere where I was talking about like something about my boss. If something doesn't happen, my boss will get mad at me or something, or I'll quit or something. I wish I could find the post, because it sounds like some people actually thought that I might get fired or that I was gonna quit or something. I don't know. I'm sorry. This is like the situation when you tell a joke and it's no longer funny when you're talking about it, but it was funny in the time. So you have to trust me that it was hilarious. But I should have prepared better, but I can't find it now, so whatever. Anyway, let's go back to Q&A. All right. Are the rules for your downtime activities that you made up, or did you look them up online? Which downtime activities are you referring to? Most of the time when my players do downtime activities, I just ad hoc the rules. My players will tell me what they want to do, and then I just adjudicate. And I'll be like, oh, you want to do that? All right, give me 3 die rolls. One for this, and one of your choosing. And then you have to justify it. And they make some die rolls, and then based on how well they did, I will adjudicate and say what is the result of their downtime. I make it as simple as possible. I don't have a bunch of rules that I constantly look up and refer to for downtime activities. I don't think you need them. It just slows things down, for the most part. Some things are a little bit more fiddly, like crafting, if they're doing crafting. If like in Pathfinder 2, there's crafting downtime rules and there's a subsystem and stuff, and it's like, yeah, for that sort of thing, it's a little harder to just adjudicate on the fly, because in Pathfinder 2, the magic items and the things that you get are like super like tied into the game balance and stuff. So if you just adjudicate on the fly and just say blah 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 blah, you could really mess things up. So there are some parts of downtime that, depending on the game system and depending on what it is, then you might literally have to be like, all right, let's figure out the rules on this. Which, interestingly enough, there is one of my players in my Pathfinder 2 game who is really good at crafting. And I think during one downtime, he tried to do some crafting, and he has never tried to craft since then. And I'm not sure why. Maybe I like to think that it was a big pain in the butt to look up the rules and try to figure out how it worked. And it wasn't worth the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, as they say. And so he was like, I'm not doing this again. This is stupid. It was like a half an hour trying to figure out the rules to craft something. It's like, no, this is not worth our game time. Maybe that's why, but maybe he had a different reason. I don't know. But I think he tried to craft once, and then he never did it again. I don't know. Maybe the outcome wasn't very good or something. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know why, but he's never tried to do it again, and I'm very thankful. I do not want to have to break out and figure out Pathfinder 2 crafting rules. It's one of those, it's like a subsystem that you never really use it. It's like maybe every 3 months you're going to use those rules. And so when you use them, it's good. You have to look them up, which doesn't take too long, but then you got to read them, and then you got to figure out how it works, and then you got to do it. And you're just like, ugh. And I mean, if you did it, if it's a system or something you did every time you played, well, then you get to know it pretty well, and it's not that big of a deal. But for a subsystem that you use like every so often, for it to be complex, I mean, I don't know. And I'm sure there are some Pathfinder 2 purists who are like, it's not that complex, Luke. And you're probably right, but like, whatever. We don't do it that often, so it's complex for us. Okay. Question. What would it look like if I wanted to incorporate the new Fae expansion back into your level 1 to 5 into the Fae book? Do you have good suggestions for picking out things to change? So, no, I think that I'll make a very broad statement here. I think that you could, without probably very many changes at all, the stuff that we're going to be releasing for Faebound Trickery of the Wilds, our new Fae expansion, should work just fine with Into the Fae. Into the Fae is the level 1 to 5 adventure module I wrote 4 years ago, or whatever it was. Most of it should just work. Like, we have races, like we have 6 new races, 10 new subclasses, Fae mechanics of various types. We have contract system, there's curses, there's boons, we have planar effects, and there are probably some more that I can't remember off the top of my head that we're working on. So we have all of these mechanics, the monsters and stuff. I I think those should mostly just work with Into the Fae, because the way that we're publishing our expansion, Feybound Trigger of the Wilds, it's designed for both 2014 and 2024. You can use it for both. And let me be clear, that means that there are distinct rules that will allow you to use it for both. Because any book that publishes itself and says, you can just use this for 2014 and 2024, and they don't have distinct rules for each, they're lying to you. Because they changed things from 2014 to 2024, and you gotta have updated rules. You do. So you can't just say it's all backwards compatible, because it's not, all right? So we have distinct call-out sidebars and stuff that if you're running 2024, these are the changes you need to make, okay? Because we were thinking of how we're gonna do this. What's the most effective, efficient way to publish this? And so we figured it out, and then whether you're running 2014 or 2024, it's going to help you. But anyway, Into the Fae was designed for 2014 rules, so you could use easily, without hardly any changes, I believe, what is in our Feybound Fae expansion in Into the Fae. I don't think you have to make a lot of changes. We generally speaking, when we're designing our 2014 D&D stuff, we're just following the rules of the books for the most part. We did that for Into the Fae. We've done that for Feybound. We're just following the rules they published. So everything should work pretty well. I don't think you have to make a bunch of changes. Red Pepper John, you are so late. I want you to do 20 push-ups right now, and we'll know if you don't. That's your punishment for being late to class. That's what we would do for Taekwondo or something, Make people do push-ups. Actually, I don't think we did that. I don't think we ever did that. If you were late to class, we never did that. Our classes were serious in what you were learning, but we weren't super strict on stupid horse crap. What do you think of the new Scion class on Unearthed Arcana? I have no idea. I've never read it. Sorry. I don't read a lot of D&D stuff these days. Let's see. How to make a campaign last forever. Should you make a campaign last forever? Short campaigns versus long campaigns. Which one would you prefer to run? You got 4 questions stuffed into one. Did they preface it, instead of saying #question, did they say #questions? Because they probably should have. You make a campaign last forever by simply making more adventures. They get to level 20, you just keep making more adventures. You could start using, there are rules for gaining, you don't gain levels after 20, but you can gain, what do they call them? Epic boons or epic something or other. And I'm sure that there are probably splat books that will help you go past 20. You just keep making more adventures. You just keep playing. That's just easy. Conceptually. Now, running high-level games, that's not quite as easy. Says someone who has run many level 20 games. Well, actually, many is a strong word. I've run 2 D&D 5e games that have got to level 20. And a third one got to level 16 before we went to Curse of Strahd, if I remember correctly. So I have run high-level D&D games, and I know how these things work. So it's far easier. The biggest thing, if you are going to run a high-level D&D game, the biggest thing that's going to help you, the very biggest thing that will help you for a high-level D&D game is your players. Are your players there to break the game? Or are they there to, work with you, the game master, and the other players so that you can all have an amazing experience? Because the mindset of your players will, in large part, determine whether you are fighting and arguing over rules and stuff, or that is too powerful, you can't do that, or blah, blah, blah. The mindset of your players is going to determine whether you have an amazing high-level D&D game experience or a crappy one. Right? Either they're going to try to break the game with all these different things, and you're going to be arguing and trying to adjudicate, or you're just going to be accepting a broken game and then just trying to make up for it, and it could be a crap show, right? Or your players could just be like, yes, That is super crazy powerful. I'm not going to do that to my game master. I'm not going to do it to my other players. I just won't do it. And players like that are pure gold. Those are the types of players you want in your games. The ones that want to break everything and argue with you and try to do all this stupid horse crappery, you can do without players like that. Those are the types of players that will make a high level D&D game miserable. Not just for you, the game master, but probably for the other players too. So anyway, the high level D&D tip right there. Have good players. They also help at other levels of the game too. It's amazing. Shockery. This is actually something that is very understated in what constitutes a good game. Many times we think about the game system. Is it fun to play the game system? Or we'll think about the game master. Is the game master a good game master? And we think that is the campaign, are the adventures good? And we think that is part of what constitutes a good game. And they are, for sure. But one of the things that gets slept on that we ignore a lot about what is a good game are the players. You would be shocked at how much a difference it makes to have good players and how much having good players influences the quality of the game. The game is so much better. Same game master, same game system, same adventures, right? But different players, and you could have a bad game that nobody wants to play in, or you could have an amazing game that people. Recently one of the players in my game, he wasn't having fun, and that's fair. Not everybody's going to enjoy every game that I run, and I accept that. And he wasn't having fun for different reasons and stuff. But he told me, he's like, Luke, I haven't been having fun for a while, and he's left now and gone on, and that's fine. It actually reminds me, that was for my Patreon game. I have to find another player. So I have to find another player for my Patreon game, and I have not started doing that yet. I should probably look at that. Anyway, so but he told me, one of the things he told me is, he said, Luke, one of the reasons I've been here, for a bit longer, even after I started not having fun, is because of the other players and the group in general. And I really liked playing with you all. I liked the other players, I like you, and we were having fun. In the sense that the players and stuff, the camaraderie or whatever, and the relationships we've developed. Because he's been playing with us for at least a year and a half, for a while now, right? So at least a year and a half, I think. So anyway, that's just an example, a case in point of the big difference it can make to have good players. And you're like, what's a good player? Well, that's a little subjective, right? That's a little hard to put your finger on, of what is a good player. But I think part of what we call good player is just the group dynamics and the camaraderie, and everybody getting along and having fun together, interacting well together, somebody who's a good player in one group might be a bad player in a different group. I think there are definitely objective metrics that measure a good player, right? And there are objective metrics that measure a bad player, but there are also subjective ones that will vary from group to group, right? And that has a lot to do with personalities and stuff, right? Well, why'd you jump down? Come on. Come on, you tubby. You big tub. Come on. You're interrupting my monologue. All right, well, he's gonna sit down there then. So my point is that a lot of times we underestimate, or we don't give enough credit to if we want to run good games, we got to have good players too, because they influence in a big way how much fun your game is. Big time. If I look at my games that I have, that I'm running, my Pathfinder 2 game, amazing players, amazing. They're amazing. I love hanging out with these guys, playing games with them. If I look at my Patreon game, again, amazing guys. They're all fun. Camaraderie, dynamics, group dynamics, amazing. And then I look at my Pathfinder 2. I already talked about that one. My Shadow Dark game, that I'm playing, that I'm running. Same thing. Great group dynamics. And I think that is huge. It's huge to making a good game, is to having players in there that they mesh, they get together, you laugh, you have fun, you all work together. It's so huge. It's so huge. And this is another little tangent, but related to that, I guess, is one. So you guys know there's this. I'm sorry. I'll get back to questions in a second. I just had these like little grains of thoughts that I want to spit out. There's this debate, right, of like game masters getting paid to play the game, or should they do it for free type of thing, And I've talked before and I've done videos before where I'm perfectly fine if a game master wants to charge to run a game. I do it, Am I going to do it myself and then say that you shouldn't do it? Like that's some hypocrisy right there. But I think everybody on this planet is guilty of hypocrisy at some time or another. So what are you going to do? Sometimes you change your mind too. But one of the things that I have noticed about the games where they pay me to play, and it's not cheap to play in my games, it's not cheap. One of the things that I've noticed is that I usually get really good players. And I think it's interesting. I don't, this might just be coincidence. There may not be like a causal relationship between these two elements. This may just be coincidence. It's quite possible. But I have made the observation that in the games that I run, where I charge people to play in, I occasionally get a bad player or a player that I don't like or doesn't get along or whatever. But 95% of the time, I get good players. Players who are, I don't know how to, like, again, it's hard to say what's a good player, but they just end up being good players. They're good players. And there's this, and again, might not be a causal relationship, but there's part of me that's like, I wonder if there's a thing, the bad players aren't going to pay with what I charge to play in my game. They're not going to. They're just going to be like, screw you, buddy. I'm not going to pay that. Cool. Because the ones that decide to pay that are good players, and we all have a blast. So I don't know if there's don't know if that's a causal relationship. It could just be a coincidence. But it is an observation I've made. And that's just like, I guess that the relationship to the previous point was just like good players in a game. So I don't know, but you're obviously your mileage may vary. We should probably answer some questions now. Whee! How do you deal with players that play D&D like it's a video game and don't play it seriously and just try to blow up and set fire to things all the time? Okay, I mean, you asked how do you deal with players. So I'm going to tell you how I deal with players like that. Have I had players like that? I don't think I've ever had a player like that. I don't think I have. This sounds like a problem I would have if I were playing with like, teenagers or something. But I suppose adults could do this too. But I feel like my solution would be very simple. And honestly, if you've been in any of my live streams, you've heard this answer a million times. So this is the same answer I give almost any time I have a player problem. I will talk to the player. And I will explain, I'll explain to them, what they're doing and the effect that it's having and how that's a negative effect, and this isn't usually me like just preaching at them. It's usually a conversation, hey, I've noticed you're doing this, why are you doing that? Well, it's kind of, this is what it's doing in the game, and this is how it's making people feel and stuff. And it's kind of, causing negative effects. These are the negative things that it's causing, this is why it's not desirable, and then, and the next thing I do is, so then I'll say, could you please stop doing that? It's a very simple conversation. It's simple. It's not easy. And I think that's why many people do not have these conversations, because some of us don't have big boy pants, or we just don't want to put them on, or whatever reason. But you have that conversation, and then you observe. Is behavior changing, or is it not changing? And if it's not changing, then you have a decision to make. It's a very simple decision. Do you talk to them again, hope it sticks this time? Do you just ignore it, let them just keep doing that and being like, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Or do you kick him out of the game, right? For me personally, If I got a problem player, and it doesn't matter if it's what you're talking about here in your question or if it's something else, I talk to them once, and if they keep on doing it, then I have a decision point. I ask myself, is this problem a showstopper? If it's a showstopper and I am not willing to continue running the game with this problem, then they're out of the game. They're gone. They're gone. They're goodbye, right? If it's not a showstopper, it's not good behavior, but it's not so bad that like it's worth kicking them out, well, then I probably am just going to tolerate it, right? And there's nothing wrong. Let's be clear. There's nothing wrong with tolerating bad behavior, because there are different levels of bad behavior, right? Like, what I have one player now that will, one of the things he constantly does that I hate is that when I am talking, he interrupts me with side comments to other players. I hate that. I hate it with a passion, because it distracts me and it distracts other players, and it doesn't help the game. If he could not have his little side comments that interrupt the game flow and he could save it till later, I would love that. So I don't like that. But is that a showstopper? Am I going to kick him out of the game because of that? No. In fact, I don't think I've even talked to him about it, because it's one of those things that annoys the crap out of me. But it's like, and I don't think it's good behavior, but you gotta make judgment calls. Is this the hill I'm gonna die on? Am I gonna make a big deal out of that? I'll just ignore it. How many times does it happen in a game session? 3 times, 4 times? You know, so you have to use your brain. You have to use like your wisdom and your intellect to make judgment calls, right? Because there's a spectrum of bad behavior, and some things just aren't that big of a deal. Other things are a big deal, you know? But I think the same thought process applies as far as like the system to follow that I just outlined about how to address the situation that you follow. Yeah, my man Tashio here is capturing all of your questions in a spreadsheet. So I'm just working through the spreadsheet. So hopefully I'll get to as many as I can. I tend to be verbose in answering some of these, and I tend to have tangents, which doesn't always help us get these things answered. By the way, we have a giveaway going on today. There is a link in the chat from Nightbot that has a link to the giveaway. If you want to join it, you'll get $50 DM Lair store credit. We're going to draw the winner to the giveaway at the end of the stream. So not too long from now. So join the giveaway if you want to get some free crap. I mean, I like free crap. You might too. Not literal crap. I don't think nobody except for my dog likes crap. My dog, my stupid dog. Is she down here? Hey, princess. She's sleeping right there. She will steal cat poop out of the litter boxes and eat it. Oh my gosh, I don't know why she does this. It is disgusting. And it's not like we don't feed her. She gets food, but she's like stealing cat poop. You probably don't want to know about this, do you? On the other hand, how many of you have dogs that do this? And does anybody know why dogs eat cat poop? I have no idea. Some days I'll be down here working and then I'll hear my wife just, she'll just go off yelling at my dog, our dog, and then she kicks the dog down to the basement and closes the door. And I know what happened. I know exactly what happened. She caught her trying to eat cat poop, and she flips out, calls her cochina, vaya al sótano con tu papá, and then she'll throw him out down to the basement, and I know exactly what happened. I don't even gotta ask. I know what it was. I know what it is. Come on, you big turd. Squeaky. Come on. Squeaky. He's just staring at me. You're such a moron. You big tubber. He wants to jump up here, but he won't jump up here. I don't know what his problem is. Oh, and we also have our next Kickstarter, Feybound Trick of the Wilds, is coming up soon. So you'll want to make sure you follow that at the link down in the description. I have a little video I'll play you that tells you everything you're going to get in it. And it shows some cool artwork too.
Feybound Trickery of the Wilds is the Fey expansion that every dungeon master and player must have. Check out everything this book has. A sprawling Fae campaign setting, 6 vibrant new player races, 10 wildly creative subclasses, a treasure trove of magic items, dynamic Fae gameplay mechanics, over 100 twisted and unforgettable monsters, and Escape from the Fae, a level 5 to 11 adventure module featuring 12 full-length story-rich adventures. Faebound Trickery of the Wild is the biggest Fae-themed expansion for D&D 5e ever created, and it launches soon on Kickstarter. Trust me, you won't want to miss this.
There we go. All right. Okay, keep going with the questions. You have a meeting, Israel. What are you doing? You're gonna miss a stream. Just call in sick, dude. Just join the meeting on Zoom in the other window and just keep the stream up on the other one. You know, actually, you should probably ignore me. Don't get fired. Don't get fired for my sake. Not good. All right, I answered that one. How do you balance player creativity with the rules when their actions could change the world or story in unexpected ways? I think I'm not worried about changing the world or story. I don't care about that. The players are just as much in charge of the story as you are the game master. In fact, I argue that the players are mostly in control of the story. See, I don't view the game master as a storyteller. I view the game master as someone who creates a situation, and then the players interact with the situation, and based upon how that all turns out, a story unfolds. So I don't view the game master as a storyteller. I view them as a they are involved in the storytelling process, obviously, but they create like this, like, you know, spark of a story, right? The where it all begins, right? In the beginning, right? And then the players come, and then stuff happens, and then a story unfolds, right? So I don't worry about players influencing the story. I want my players to influence the story. I want them to change it. And I don't know how it's going to end anyway. I don't know how the story's going to end. My players determine that. The dice and my players' decisions determine how the story ends. So I don't sweat that crap. They changed the world. I don't mind the world being changed. The world should be a living, dynamic world that changes as a consequence of your players' actions. That is one of the most beautiful, wonderful things you can have in your game, is if your players do things that literally change things in the world, and then the players are like, oh, we did this thing and it changed this thing in the world, and they see the world as this living, dynamic place where they can do things and influence other things that happen in the world. And that is a beautiful thing. I want that to happen. I encourage that, and I will literally I literally do this thing where, like, my players will do a thing and I'll make a note of it, and then I'll ask myself, this is usually after the game session and I'm planning different things. I'll ask myself, well, they did this thing in the world. I usually call this future plot points. It's part of the notes that I take, you know, and I'll be like, well, they did this thing. This is a pretty big thing they did, or it could be impactful. What are the consequences of this? What would happen as a result? And I'll brainstorm that, and I'll figure something out. And then it might be 5-10 game sessions later that I show them the result of what they did in the game world, that their actions influenced this thing, right? And I love doing that because I want them to see that they matter, their decisions matter, their actions matter in the game world, right? And that's something I work towards. So I want that. So the last part of your question, you know, when their actions could change the world, I want that. Or the story, I want that too. I expect and want both of those things. All right. And if it's in unexpected ways, even better, because it's more interesting that way, right? So how do you balance player creativity with the rules when their actions would? So I don't care about their actions causing changes and stuff in the story and world. That's wonderful. Now, but the first part of your question, I feel, is much more interesting, or whatever. So how do you balance player creativity with the rules, right? Now that's tough, because obviously you've heard that some game masters are rule of cool. I'm rule of cool, which usually means if you want to do something really cool, I'll ignore the rules for you. I'll give the rules a pass, and you can just do your cool thing. I am not a rule of cool game master. If I'm running a game system that has rules, I usually try to follow the rules. I like following rules. All right. Does that inhibit player creativity? Yes, it does. So you're like, well, Luke, then why would you follow the rules? Because the rules give us a shared understanding of what is possible and what isn't. Okay, so then what's the next logical thing? If I feel that rules inhibit player creativity, but as a person, I follow the rules, the next logical step is I don't like using rules-heavy game systems. And I talked about this at the beginning of the stream. This is one of the reasons, of many probably, that I prefer rules-light game systems these days. Rules like Pirate Borg, or Shadow Dark, or Mothership, right? These are some of the ones I have played most recently, especially Shadow Dark. I play it all the time, right? And they are rules light. And one of the reasons I love rules light systems is that they encourage player creativity, and they encourage the game master to be able to adjudicate and have things happen based upon whatever they want to have happen. You can be a rule of cool game master and not break the rules with rules light systems, and I love it, you know? So this is ultimately because ultimately I have a conflict. I want players to be creative and do cool and awesome things, but at the same time, I'm a rules follower. That's who I am, right? And those things butt heads. The solution then is get rid of a lot of the rules and you're all happy. You know, the part of me that wants to follow the rules is happy, and then the part of me that wants my players to be able to be creative and do awesome things is happy. You know, like example, my last Shadow Dark game. So my players are in this dungeon, right? And there are these creatures down there. They're called Rift Spawn, Rift Stalkers. And they encountered a couple of them. There were 2 big ones, then a whole bunch of small ones. And my player, this was 2 sessions ago, they got their butts handed to them. Oh, they got the snot kicked out of them. It was bad. And I'm looking at this and I'm just like, this encounter wasn't that hard. They were just having really bad luck. I think they were having bad dice rolls or something. They also the party was kind of split up a little bit. 2 of the characters I think were in front and the other ones were back around the corner, and I don't think they could effectively contribute to the combat. So you had a nice little perfect storm where they were getting beat up by monsters that weren't that challenging by the numbers, right? I also, I overtuned one of my monsters. I had it doing more damage than it should have, and I rectified that after the game, but I did notice that too. So I did have one of my monsters doing too much damage, according to the level it should have been at. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, in the last game session, they were terrified of these monsters because they got their butt kicked. And in the last game session, I'm thinking, I hope that they can overcome that terror just a little bit, you know, because they might have better luck next time, you know. And what they did is they set up essentially an ambush spot. They were in a room. They all basically had readied actions to shoot things when they came through. And one monster comes through and all of their actions go off. Boom, 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 boom. They blast the thing, dead. And this is a monster that gave them tons of problems before. You know, and then the next monster comes through and they blast the thing. It didn't quite kill it. It got through. It bit one of the guys on the arm or something. But then they kill it, right? And then I think 2 more came through. And so they were fighting. This encounter was, by the books, twice as challenging as the one previous. But my players, they had better tactics. Their tactics were much better. You know, set up a little ambush right here, and then as they come through, we all blast it and kill it. Next one, blast it and kill it. And so they had better tactics. You know, that can't be argued, you know. But it was also I mean, part of it was their creativity in it too, because there's nothing in the Shadow Dark rulebook that says that you can have a readied action, that you can get ready to shoot at something. Not in the rules. My players were just like, can we do this? Can I ready an action? Can I? Yeah, sure, why not? There's no rules in Shadow Dark that I'm aware of where you can. One of my players she precast magic missile, and she was holding magic missile ready to go. There's no, obviously in D&D 5e you can do these things, right? And I think a lot of these guys came from D&D 5e. But like, there's nothing in the Shadow Dark rules that says you can do this. But my players wanted to do it. There's no rule that addresses it, and I said, sure, why not? You know, and then they were able to clean the floor with these monsters when the previous game session they got destroyed by these things, you know. And so that's an example of what you can do in a rules light system and why I love them, you know. All right, let's move on to the next one. I got that one. This is the wrong. There's nothing in that one. This is the one that has stuff in it still. I don't know what I'm doing around here. Can you recommend any things I should put in a DM kit for when I'm traveling to somewhere else to DM? And do you have any recommendations for bags that I can use to carry books? Yes, I'm gonna go in my other room and show you the bag that I use in conventions. I'll be back in a hot second. I'll show you a little video while I'm gone, but I'll show you the bag that I use in my games.
Whether you dabble in the Fae or dive in head first, Faebound Trickery of the Wilds is the D&D 5e resource every DM and player needs in their collection. Check out everything it has. A sprawling Fae campaign setting, 6 vibrant new player races, 10 wildly creative subclasses, a treasure trove of magic items, dynamic Fae gameplay mechanics, over 100 twisted and unforgettable monsters, and Escape from the Fae, a level 5 to 11 adventure module featuring 12 full-length story-rich adventures. I don't even know how they fit this all in one book. Faebound Trickery of the Wild is the biggest, baddest Fae-themed expansion for D&D 5e ever created, and it's coming soon to Kickstarter. Trust me, you won't want to miss this one.
Okay, so this is what I use at conventions. I can fit, I'm trying to think if this is accurate. Everything that I need to run a game at a convention goes in here. Now, this is for conventions when I'm traveling, right? And so you can get these things probably on Amazon and other places too, probably. But basically what it is this is literally made for TTRPGs and crap like that. Doesn't it have a, yeah, there we go. So the way this works is the top thing here has a place where you can put miniatures, right? I do not take miniatures for my monsters. I take enough miniatures for the characters, right? Because I love miniatures, but I can't take all my miniature collection with me. So character miniatures go here, and then in the side pockets, I have some of the cards. These are the cards that I use for initiative tracking on my Game Master screen. We talked about that at the beginning of the stream today. And then, I don't know if I have any other examples of these. Yep, I do. Okay, so, one of the things that I take, sorry for the crinkling, for the monsters, what I do is I have these little acrylic tokens, basically. These ones right here are from RPG Essentials. You can look up RPG Essentials, Google search it, and you're gonna find where you can order these yourself. But he's got hundreds of little monsters, and so what I do is, I'm super fancy. I get what I do is I go through whatever adventure I'm running, I find the monsters, I get a whole bunch of these things. This is from the last adventure I ran, it's still in here. I find the last convention I was at, I find a whole bunch of the monsters that I need for the games that I'm going to be running in that convention, and I'm super fancy here. I put them in a plastic bag, and then I put it in a pocket here. All right, so I've got character minis and monster tokens covered. Good. And that's the top little thing here. Then you got the compartment for the books. So I will take the core books that I need. Not every book. If PDFs exist, I will take PDFs on my iPad or my laptop, and I'll have that if I need it. But usually I don't. I'll just wing it if I need it. Core books go in here. I have a dry erase grid that folds, and that will fit right in here. So I have the grid that I need, the minis, the books that I need, my dice. My dice will go in this front pocket right here, along with dry erase markers and some pencils. And that's pretty much all I need. The folder with like the adventure and stuff will go inside the main compartment. But that's it. So if you see me at, for instance, GenCon, where I'll be running some Shadow Dark games, you will see me literally with this, and it has everything that I need to run my games in it. So if you steal this, I'm screwed. Some of you are like, What a steal Luke's bag. He's gonna be screwed. I'll still run the game. I'll just show up and I'll be like, all right guys, my game bag was stolen. So we're doing everything theater of the mind. Rock and roll. And I don't even have the adventure. So I'm just going from memory, baby. And then we'll rock and roll. That's what I'll do if it gets stolen. It'll still be a fun game. Maybe not as good as if I actually had my crap, but whatever. So that's my DM kit when you're traveling. That's my DM kit. I bought this at a convention years ago. If you're going to any gaming convention, like a GenCon or GaryCon or like whatever, just TTRPG gaming conventions, there's probably going to be a vendor in the vendor hall that has one of these, right? That's where I got this one. I got it from a vendor like 5 to 7 years ago, a long time. Did I get it from a vendor? Hold on a second. Is that how I got this? No. Actually, I think that a company sent this to me. They were like, "Hey, do you want to get some free content or a free product or something?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." And I think that's how I got this. I think they sent this to me. I think I got this free from somebody a while ago. So I actually don't think I got this at a convention. So I think I misremembered. I think I just lied to you and made that up. But anyway, you can still find these at conventions. I am confident you'll be able to find it. Or Amazon, obviously. All right, Lord D, hey, welcome. You got a game today. That's the best type of day. That's the amazing days. Can you put a link for it in the description? For this game, this bag? No, but I can. Do you want me to Google it for you? Hold on a second. TTRPG gaming bag. Oh my Google foo, I'm so good at this. Look. Come on. Open the link, you piece of crap. Maybe I'm not that good at this. Well, this website right here apparently does not want me buying anything from them, but they're all over the place. See, just Google it. TTRPG gaming bag, and you're gonna get a butt ton of these things, and you can go. Oh, they got a backpack too. If you need more room, oh, a backpack. Ooh. Oh, that would actually be better than what I have. Oh, this. Okay, I want this. Hold on a second. I don't have to get it off Walmart. I'll get it somewhere else. I'm not gonna buy it from Walmart. I'll get it off Amazon before I go to Walmart. But this looks really good, actually. It's bigger. Oh, you can carry more minis if you want to. Oh, that's cool. I don't think I want to carry more minis, but you could if you wanted to. And then, oh, look at that. That's super cool. That's super cool. Look at this. Walmart is literally copying Amazon's everything. How Amazon sets their page up, Walmart has literally just copied it. That is so interesting. And the side pocket where you can put your books in, that's cool. This is a cool little backpack right here, man. That's super cool. So anyway, yeah, you can Google that crap and find one that you like. They got a lot of them out there, different colors and stuff too, backpacks and stuff. That's all really cool. I wouldn't mind having one of those because that would be way easier to carry than. Because the problem with this bag is that it's just got a shoulder. It's got a shoulder strap, right? Sorry, I'm scaring my cat. So when you carry it, you're gonna have it slung like this, And if you got a bunch of books in here, you can see the problem. Well, you should be able to see the problem. All of the weight is on this strap, which goes right on the side of your neck. And you can probably get it over your shoulder and stuff, you know, but you got all of the weight right there digging on your neck, you know. Whereas if you had a backpack, obviously backpacks distribute the load across 2 shoulders. It's distributed, it's evened out, you know, and also here, this bag is pulling me this way, so I have to pull it back this way with my muscles and crap, you know? And so this is far less like, you know, ergonomically minded than a backpack. So I would go with a backpack if you're gonna buy one. Backpack is probably gonna be, it's bigger, but it's gonna be, if you're like walking around at Gen Con or a convention, a backpack's gonna be way more comfortable. Yeah, well, I scared her away. She decided to come up here just as I was like making a commotion, so I scared her off. Sorry. Pause while Luke ordered stuff. I know. I'm like, actually, I'm gonna order this. Just to hold on. I want to get this backpack. Actually, that would be. I should get a backpack before Gen Con. Because that will be way easier for me to carry my stuff around at Gen Con. Oh, I do need to get a backpack. Should we just order it right now? Let's see what we got going on over here. TTRPG gaming backpack. What does this one do? This is not a TTRPG gaming backpack. I don't even know why it was here. Bag of holding. D&D bag of holding on it. I don't know. I'm not gonna wear this. I think this is like a overplayed trope or something at this point. So I'm not gonna buy this. It doesn't look as good either. It's just a normal backpack. Yeah, I don't want that. See, that's the shoulder strap thing. I don't care about that. And I'll have to dig through this, but oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, man. All right, we're going to come back to that later. I'm going to come back. I'll take a look at that later. I might have to order that thing. Adam, the D&D guy, says, did I just take $150 away from you? Yeah, but if like a few people super chatted, like, you know, $25, then I'd get the money back, and then you wouldn't have to feel guilty about it. I know you're just dying with guilt right now. We have a giveaway going on too, folks. There is a link in the chat where you can join it. It's super easy and it's free, and then we're gonna draw the winner in about 7 minutes or so. So there you go. The bag is awesome. You have one of the older versions. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, how is the Godstein game going? Any stories about how the gods have affected the PCs? The Godstein game, this is the game I run with my Shadow Dark game. It's going great. I love it. It's tons of fun. I tell my wife every time I play that game, well, not every time, but a lot of times, I'll be like, this is my favorite game. This is my favorite game by far. I'm having the most fun with my... It's in part because it's a Godstein game, but it's also in large part because it's a Shadow Dark game. Like, I just like the game system. It's way easier for me to run that game system, and we have tons of fun. So it's 2 reasons I love it, but it's my favorite game right now. Hands down, my favorite game right now is my Shadow Dark Godstein game. So it's going really well. We have tons of fun. We have a great group of players. We just got a new player a couple sessions ago, and she's awesome. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot. We got a good group of people having fun doing adventuring stuff, you know. Now the gods haven't directly affected the PCs or anything yet. We've only had one divine council at this point, so there haven't been any real direct effects that have taken place at this point. And I don't know that they necessarily will, maybe, but so yeah, can't really speak to that a whole lot. But it's going really well. I'm having tons of fun. I love it. So we were talking about our Kickstarter Feybound Trickery of the Wilds, and somebody asked, should I get into the Fey before I get the new Fey book? You don't need it. So, let me show you. So this is Into the Fey. This is the 1 to 5 adventure module that I published a few years ago. It has a bunch of monsters in it too. So what we're doing now is a Fey expansion. It isn't just the next Kickstarter, Feybound Trickery of the Wilds, isn't just the sequel to this. It's more. We're making it into an entire Fey expansion. Now it does contain the adventure module or the adventure arc that is the sequel to this. Right? So I just want to be clear that Feybound is way more than just the sequel to this. We're just packing it full of Fey stuff. It's going to be amazing. Races, subclasses, like the whole works. We're just going crazy on it. But you don't have to have this in order to get and use Feybound Trickery of the Wilds. We are definitely making Feybound Trickery of the Wilds so that it can be its own standalone product. You don't need this, right? Now that said, if you want to run a campaign set in the Fey, doing Fey stuff with Fey, and you love that idea, if you want to run that campaign from level 1 to 11, and that's most groups don't play too much past level 11, most groups. If you want to run like a pure Fey, just go all in, then this would help you because this is level 1 to 5. And then the adventure arc in Feybound Trickery of the Wilds, that adventure path goes from level 5 all the way to 11. So you could get this, run this with your group, and then with Feybound, you could pick up right where this one leaves off and continue out the rest of it. Okay? And the plot, and this, you may be interested in this. In this book, there's an archfey ruler called the Queen Below. And she is her Fey are doing bad things in the real world. Right? And then your adventuring group is fighting those bad things, essentially. But at the end, if you're running the sequel to this book, at the end of this module, you get trapped in the Fey plane. You're trapped. There are these basically like Fey teleportation circles that will take you from the normal plane, the material plane, over to the Fey plane. And the Queen Below can close those, and she does, and she traps you in the Fey. That's why the adventure module that's the sequel to this, that's included inside Feybound, is called Escape from the Fey, because the whole idea is you're trapped in the Fey and you have to escape and you have to get out. And so you could run this with your group from level 1 to 5. They get trapped in the Fey, and then when you get Feybound Trickery of the Wilds, you can run that adventure module or that adventure path, or whatever you want to call it, inside there, pick up where this one left off, and then you run that to level 11. So if you want to do that, if that sounds like something would interest you, then yeah, get this. What you could do if you're like, oh, that sounds amazing, I love that. What you could do is get this now. You can get this on the DM Lair store. We have a lot of these available. We're not going to run out, so go buy some if that's what interests you. You'll get this. You can start playing this with your group. And then Feybound, we're planning to launch in September. That's the plan. It's flexible though. And it takes us about a year to get your book. It usually takes us about 1 year. This is true across, I think, almost every Kickstarter that we've run. This will be our 5th Kickstarter now that we're going to be running. And it has taken us a year for every single one of them pretty much. So Feybound will be arriving roughly a year from now. And by the way, we usually deliver early, not late. Like if you look at our Kickstarters, like we have a track record for delivering either on time or early. And at least for 2 of them, we've delivered early. I think the other 2, we might have been perfectly on time, but don't quote me on that. My point is this: when we tell you you're getting your book at a certain time, you get your book at a certain time. If you back Kickstarters, you know there are many Kickstarters that do not deliver their products on time. And they give you a whole litany of excuses and reasons and stuff. And sometimes they're legitimate. Many times it's because of poor project planning and poor execution, right? So remember I was telling you before, I'm a rules follower and I'm disciplined and all this kind of stuff. Well, like being very disciplined and very analytical and stuff helps you meet deadlines and like run your projects well. Imagine that, you know, but anyway, that's a different thing. Point is this, if you start running Into the Fae now, probably by the time you get close to finishing it, Feybound will be delivering to you, and then you can pick up and run it with your group. That took me forever to get that point across because I kept giving myself tangents, but there you go. That was the last drop of my drink. I'm completely dry. Have you ever thought about translating your books into other languages than English? Nope. No. There's no. I'm just gonna be blunt with you. There's no financial incentive for me to do that. It would be tons of work with no payoff. That's just the pure hard truth. Okay. Imagine that I were to have my books translated into Spanish. Okay. Well, I know that the Spanish-speaking market for TTRPGs is way smaller than the English-speaking market. So the potential return, the sales, is going to be minuscule. Okay, so I have to pay someone to translate my book into Spanish, and then ideally I would have to review that translation or pay a third party to review that translation to make sure it was done well. Otherwise, I could be printing a crappy product and not even know it. It probably wouldn't be able to be a printed book because a print run is expensive because you have to do a minimum quantity, you know, so it would be PDF only or something, you know, so I'm paying somebody else. I'd have to manage that project. Even if I have a third party who handles the translations myself, I have to manage that project. I'm either paying them to do that work or they're getting a big commission on the work, right? And then I have a smaller audience that's going to be buying it, you know what I mean? And so when you play this out and you plan it and think about it, you're just like, that's a lot of work for almost no payoff, you know? And so it's like, I'm a busy dude. We're doing a lot of stuff. It's like, do I really want to do a whole bunch of work without any real reason to do it? And you're like, well, you know, you're making it available in different languages. But yeah, but dude, there's only so much I can do, you know? And if I'm not somehow gonna benefit from this, besides just like, I made it in Spanish, then like, that's not a big enough incentive to me, you know, to like not sleep as much or to tell my wife that we can no longer go on date night because I'm going to be making a Spanish translation. You know, you see what I'm saying? So you have to do the cost analysis for any sort of project you're going to do because you only have so much time. And some projects just like, that would be nice, but can't do it. There's no real payoff for that, you know? So that's like the bottom line for that. Yes, we deliver to Ireland. We deliver almost anywhere in the world. Anywhere that FedEx, because our fulfillment partner uses FedEx. So anywhere that FedEx delivers, we deliver. There are some places they don't deliver. You're screwed. Sorry. Go blame FedEx. Okay, I'm not flying to Russia for you. Not doing it. But if FedEx goes there, we deliver there. That's the bottom line. Well, I mean, the reason that Wizards of the Coast stopped doing Spanish translations, there was no financial gain in it, almost assuredly. I'm not familiar with the situation. I didn't even know they did Spanish translations or that they stopped. But if they stopped doing it, it's probably because they were like, let's try it. Let's try getting into this market and see how it goes. It didn't go well. They were losing a lot of money. And when you're running a business and you're doing something that loses a lot of money, you have two options. One, if you really want to do it, you subsidize that function with your gains from other parts of the business that are making money. That's their first option, right? Or two, you stop doing the thing that's losing you money. You have two options: subsidize or stop doing it. If there's a branch or something you're doing that's losing money, those are your two options, right? Sometimes you subsidize. If you really believe in it and you really want to do it, you're like, I don't care if I'm taking a loss. I'm doing it because I want to do it. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Smaller businesses sometimes do that, often do that because they just love the thing. They want to do it. They don't care. But when you are a publicly traded company like Hasbro is, you are literally legally bound to your stockholders in so much that you must increase stockholder value. You must. It is your imperative. It is your imperative. You must increase stockholder value. You cannot like do stuff that loses you tons of money, you know, and then just keep on doing it for kicks. Like as a publicly traded company, like you have to increase stockholder value, right? Like I have lots of stocks and investments and stuff. And if I have stocks that are going down in value, guess what happens? I probably don't want those stocks, you know, and then the company loses investment, it's, you know, whatever. So Hasbro, like they have to maximize stockholder value. So if there's some part of their business that's just tanking and not doing well, then, and I'm not totally familiar with how these large companies like this run every little nuance of it. I'm just making some informed observations or statements based upon my experience, you know, but I'm grain of salt, right? They're probably going to cut that because they're not making any money. And if Hasbro, if Wizards of the Coast can't make money doing Spanish translations, guess what that tells me? I almost certainly can't. But that's just my thought. We went from D&D to finances. I mean, my life is finances. When you're running your own business, your life is finances. Finances take, like you, that's what you look at. And if you don't, you go out of business and then you don't have a business. So like you have to look at finances. Like you have to plan your projects. You have to think about finances. You must. You must. So it's just life. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like Goliath Cleric just came and Tashio said that I spilled the beans on the new RPG system. Yeah, it was bound to happen. Luke has a big mouth. This is why I like lose subscribers and people don't like me, because I have a big mouth and I talk about things that most people would like. Right now, AI and using ChatGPT like in your games, in your own private games, apparently that's a thing that a lot of people don't like right now, but I just talk about it anyway. And there are people that don't like that and they're like, I'm unsubscribing. And it's like, okay, I mean, that's fair. Okay. But I mean, 2 years from now, you see what happens. Just see how things are going to be in 2 years. Okay, let's draw the winner of the giveaway. And some of you are like, Luke, what do you mean by that? Aha, what do I mean by that? That's a topic for another live stream. We are drawing the winners of the giveaway right now. Draw the winner. Mark from Boston, Massachusetts. Mark, my good friend, you have won the giveaway. I will be sending you an email probably shortly, and we'll get you hooked up with some cool crap on the DM Lair store, some store credit and stuff. So the word is shut up. I rolled a 1 on luck. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm done. We're leaving. Thank you for hanging out with us. We'll be next week. I'm going to be at GenCon. I still had some slots open in the 2 games that I'm running. There are links to those games down in the description. So, you know, if you want to play with me in a game at GenCon, go to those links and sign up, and then we'll have some fun. And so I will not have a stream next week, but I'll be back the week after that. I'm out. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen. It's great hanging.